When I was working for Food Network, my mom got really sick and she had gone to doctors in the area and then saw naturopaths and nothing was really helping her. And it got to the point where she really needed to make a huge shift or else, there would be major consequences to her health. And I remember the Eat Right for Your Blood Type book being at my parents' house when I was like I can't remember the year it came out. I feel like it was 19 or 99 when the first one came out. But I remember being there, but it wasn't something that my mom, I think, was really fully cognizant of. Like she didn't remember that, like having that in the house. And she just opened up the newspaper and saw an advertisement for Dr. D'Adamo's practice that was in Wilton, Connecticut at the time. And so I took her to her first appointment and met Dr. D'Adamo. And then I continued taking her. I would come home and take her to appointments when my dad couldn't, and really got to know Dr. D. He's an amazing guy. And he always asked me what I was doing, as, her daughter, helping her out and being around. And at one point I showed him a cookbook I had drafted for myself, just writing about health. And he was trying to help me get it published. But because I don't have a name, like at the time and still now, like enough to really, easily get a cookbook published, he just came to me and said, look, if you could come up with a concept for 4 cookbooks, one for each blood type, let's meet in 2 weeks. And if you'd be interested in doing that, that would be great. So I came up with a concept, and the concept was that each blood type would have the same type of meals, but I would have variations on each meal that would meet the needs of each blood type. So for instance, if you're making chili, type O would have red meat and certain beans. Type A would have probably chicken and certain, you know what I mean? So it would vary depending on who is eating. But that way families could sort of eat together in an easier way. But the point of doing that also is that you could look at the different recipes across the board of all 4 blood types and find commonalities. So I pitched the concept to him. He loved it. And we ended up collaborating on this cookbook together. And he spent hours teaching me in a little classroom that they had, and all about the blood type and really the reasons why it was important to eat a certain way for certain blood types. And the blood type diet doesn't start and stop with blood type. Mm-hmm. It goes into lifestyle, it goes into a lot of other elements. And when you go to him, or his daughter is a naturopath as well, when you go to them, they look at your gut microbiome, your genetics, all of these things kind of factor into it. But so that was how I got to know him and how those books came about.
How did learning that change how you approached eating?
It revolutionized how I approach eating. I eat according to the blood type diet. There's little things that I do that are kind of like, I consider my vices that are not really vices, to be totally honest. They're just me not, necessarily always doing the blood type diet 100%, just because there's certain things that I really like that maybe aren't. And so the way that I approach it now is that, I think the piece with the blood type diet that I learned is how personalized nutrition is for each individual. So even when I started cooking for somebody and helped them implement the blood type diet, it wasn't just that. Like I would look at a lot of other pieces of their overall health and try to evaluate and work with them. Like, as you said earlier, it was, people's bodies change, time of year. There's so many factors that go into play with how to make a person healthy, but they're very, very specific and individual. And so you have to listen to your body. When for us as chefs, we have to listen to people that we cook for and realize that it's very important to be individual about it, personalized.
Are you comfortable sharing which blood type you are?
Yeah, I'm an O.
I'm a B positive. So I'm very familiar with the blood type diet, something that I've been following since it first came out. Mm-hmm. And I, long before I was a chef, have always gone through phases where I follow it strictly. I follow it 80-20, but that information's always in my mind when I especially go to choose proteins or certain ingredients, because you learn really quickly that if you follow it and you eliminate certain foods from your diet, when you bring them back in, you don't feel as good when you eat them.
Yeah. And the 80-20 thing that you just said too is an important part of it. Even Dr. D'Adamo himself says all the time that unless you're acutely ill or something really specific is going on for you that you need to address, you don't have to be that rigid. And the point that he taught me that I really love is that, and the way that I help my clients and even myself, is that you can see what foods are super beneficial to you, the ones that really make you feel good, and you just focus on that. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of can fill in the gaps with other things, but it doesn't have to be this focus on, what's not working. It can be the opposite. It can be focusing on those foods that are really good for you and that actually you enjoy eating and they make you feel great.